Today, the Insider Exclusive goes behind the headlines in Highway Accidents, Alabama, Brandy Staple's story, to examine how Tripp Walton, founder at the Walton Law Firm, successfully represented Brandy Staples in a tragic accident that changed the life of this former beauty queen, aspiring model, and popular cheerleader forever. Brandy Staples was a beautiful, young, outgoing 24-year-old woman, just a few months shy of her 25th birthday. She was from a small town in rural southeast Alabama. She was a former high school cheerleader, a beauty queen, an aspiring model who had a passion for drawing. And on the morning of June 25th, 2008, all that changed forever. Brandy was on her way to work that fateful morning, traveling on County Road 289 in a small red 1999 Ford Escort when she came over a hill passing through an intersection. Also coming up on that intersection was an employee of a local construction company driving his company van. It is alleged that the employee of the construction company was distracted by operating the company laptop that had been installed in his vehicle by his employers. The driver never noticed Brandy's vehicle coming up over the hill. He attempted to shortcut the turn, causing his company van to be in Brandy's lane of traffic as she came right over the top of the hill. Brandy attempted to avoid the oncoming van, but the collision occurred anyway, causing Brandy's life and her family's life to be forever changed. Today you will see for the first time ever on TV how Brandy and her courageous family have struggled to fight and regain part of that vibrant life that was so suddenly snatched from them. Tripp Walton's successful representation of Brandy and her family has earned him the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best trial lawyers in Auburn, in Alabama, and in the nation. He has seen many innocent and hardworking people become victims in catastrophic accidents, and because of that, he is driven to fight for people who have been harmed by the willful or negligent actions of others. Tripp has built a substantial reputation nationwide by consistently winning cases other law firms have turned down. His amazing courtroom skills and headline-grabbing success rate continue to provide his clients with the results they need and the results they deserve. Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from Auburn, Alabama. It is my great pleasure to introduce Tripp Walton to the show. Welcome to the show, Tripp.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Tell our audience a little bit about your firm. What kind of law do you guys practice here?
You know, primarily personal injury, wrongful death, brain injuries, things of that nature involving tractor trailers, trains, and automobiles. I also do probably 25% criminal, typically high profile, stuff you read about in the paper, police officers, businessmen, stuff like that who have made some bad judgment decisions. I'll get involved because I used to be a prosecutor years ago, so I still enjoy it. It's a good way to get in the courtroom.
And it's a way to see that justice is done, especially in high-profile cases.
Absolutely,
right?
Because they get so beat up in the newspapers and on TV. Yeah. It's very interesting how things get out of whack.
Speaking of getting beat up, in your collegiate days, you were a boxer, weren't you?
I was.
And you won the Golden Globes Canton Championship, didn't you?
Won the Golden Glove Heavyweight Championship for Alabama, the AAU Heavyweight Championship for Alabama, and some others. And the beauty of that is it's very similar to my law practice. Law practice is a contact sport when you're on my side representing victims. You're going up against the biggest folks in the country or the world, these companies and insurance companies. And the courtroom is very much like a boxing ring in that you have a referee as a judge, you have the jurors who are ringside judges, you have the combatants, myself with a white hat and the defense lawyer with a black hat, and you have to prepare before you get in there or you'll get knocked out. So it's very similar in the way I do it to my boxing career.
Now, today we are here going to be discussing Brandy Staple's case. Tell our audience who Brandy is, and also tell our audience exactly what happened to her. And your firm put together, produced an animation video which shows exactly what took place.
Brandy was around 24, 25 years old. She's a beautiful girl, was doing some modeling, hoping to get a modeling contract or maybe go to vet school at some point in the time. She was on the way this particular morning of the collision to a babysitting job, which was a part-time deal. As she went over a hill, a commercial truck coming from the opposite direction cut the turn short and was basically hit her head on when she came over the hill. He never saw her. She was the only one that tried to miss. The skid marks showed that she tried to go off the road. He never saw her. We took the computer out of his car, had forensics on it. Obviously, he was looking at his laptop business computer as he was cutting a curve too short.
Right, and we're showing all of this animation that you put together.
She was seriously injured physically and with her brain. We believe her head probably smacked against something in the vehicle, the A-pillar or something of that sort.
Yeah.
She was taken to UAB hospital in Birmingham where she stayed for a very long time, for a good long time in a coma. Of course, you can imagine the parents, Ken and Gail, were rocked, as were her siblings. She has 2 brothers. Yeah. It was a long fight back. It was slow when you first saw. I'm sure we have pictures where she looks like there's no one home.
Right, we're showing
in the hospital bed.
You provided a video for us to see her learning how to walk again.
Had to teach her how to talk,
eat,
walk, eat,
yeah.
Drink, things that we take for granted every day. She couldn't do, and it's been she's made miraculous recovery. You know, she's sort of like, well, I look at it, how you do your teenagers. I've got a 14-year-old, I've got an 18-year-old. How much do I watch them now? You know, we want to watch her all the time, and we want somebody on her 24/7, but Brandy's, you know, she's like an 18, 19-year-old now. She wants to be gone. So it's a difficult balance with these type cases because they do get better. She has gotten better, and the question is, how much better will she get over time?
How did the case come to you?
The case came to me. Most of my cases either come from a lawyer referral, say somebody who does bankruptcy or real estate, and they get a friend comes in with a terrible case, an injury case. Or like this case, where most of my cases come from a former client, and her grandmother called me and said that her granddaughter was in the hospital in a coma, and would I mind riding up to UAB and speaking with the family.
Now, when you start investigating whether you want to take a case or not, and we're going to talk about your strategies and legal challenges, what do you look for before you say, okay, I'm going to take this case?
Probably the first thing, because the only thing we know is if the client's injured because they're calling from the hospital or family members calling about somebody who's been killed. So we look at the extent of the injury. Then once we determine that the extent of the injury is grave, we get people to the scene quickly, experts to the scene, photographing, measuring, doing the skid marks, all that sort of stuff. So you hope they call sooner than later, because after a week or two, all that can be destroyed, and or the defense will have already been there and messed it up, or you know, whatever. Put their marks down, and they won't be the trooper's original marks.
Yeah.
So we look first at damages and then at liability. If there is no liability, and liability is a legal term for fault, who is at fault? If the defendant is not at fault, regardless of the damages, we have to walk away. Right. Particularly in Alabama, which is a contrib state, which means if the plaintiff is 1% negligent, the jury can find against you, so that's tough.
And that's a big legal challenge in this state. So let's look at this case, because we're going to show photos of, there was a computer, a laptop computer, in the driver's car.
Absolutely.
It could be said that he never was looking at the laptop computer.
He could have said that.
So, but he was honest in coming forth and saying that he was.
He denied it.
He denied it.
He denied it, but I sent the laptop computer to a forensics team in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And some of the pictures we found on the work computer were not exactly what you would want on your work computer. And the thought that maybe he was looking at those pictures at 7 o'clock in the morning and cut the corner and didn't look up, had them sweating, because I was going to show those to the jury, what was on the work computer.
It also, the computer hard drive was going to show when he was operating the computer, right?
That had, when the battery was hit, it scrambled some of that. It was very interesting. Or by the time we got the computer, it was scrambled.
Right.
So we don't know exactly. My forensic people, who are some of the best in the country, couldn't really determine how that happened, and it messed up some of the data. But there were numerous pictures on there that we knew that they would not want a jury in that county to see.
So to the end, the driver denied that he was looking at the computer?
Basically denied that he did anything wrong. Interestingly enough, the company had policies where they would not hire a driver if he had 2 at-fault accidents. This person had at least 2, and I had even sued him previously, where he had slammed into the back of a local banker.
Same driver?
Same driver. I knew him well.
Did you?
Yeah, I'd sued him before. So as soon as we looked at their policies and they said we will not hire anybody that had these at-fault accidents within a certain time period, we looked in their file. They had done the research and they were there. They just didn't do anything once they found them.
Now this whole case also revolves around a bigger issue of like distracted driving.
Right.
Texting, looking at, you know, DVDs, unbelievably, some people watching DVDs
Absolutely.
while they're driving
It's
their
ridiculous.
car. As a result of a case like this, what kind of changes do you see in the law happening, or if none is happening right now, what kind of changes do you suggest?
What we've seen in Alabama in the last several months, the state legislature passed a no texting law statewide.
Yeah.
About 25 or 30 other states already have it, and it also is not just texting, it's looking at videos, DVDs. It makes me wonder when all Alabama state troopers and police officers have laptops in their car,
right,
where that's going to land them at some point. Maybe a good thing they have mostly immunity. But, you know, it's interesting, the distracted driving studies we've seen, texting, a person texting going down the highway is 8 to 24 times more likely to have a collision than a drunk driver at .08. Scary stuff. Even a drunk drives better than somebody texting.
What is the penalty in this state for texting and driving at the same time?
Hadn't looked at the bill yet. It's fixing to come out. I don't think it's going to be real severe, at least the first offense. But at least we're getting, people are talking about it, because it is very dangerous. In fact, almost every one of our automobile cases, somebody's on the phone or texting.
How did this case resolve itself?
This case went to mediation, which is a big thing we do here in Alabama. I guess they do it nationwide. I've done it in several other states too. But the parties get together with their lawyers. We choose a mediator. We had a mediator come in from Miami, Florida, who's one of the top ones in the country. We went back and forth all day long at mediation. We did a PowerPoint presentation, and then we make an offer, they make an offer. We go back and forth and hopefully get it settled. And then we did get a very nice settlement for Brandy and her family.
In a case like this, you have to bring in experts, which show exactly how much it's going to cost medically to take care of someone at a good standard of care.
Right. We call them life care plans. We bring in life care plans. We had one of the top life care planners in the country out of Virginia. We had car wreck experts. We had the automation expert. We put, you know, probably $100,000 in the case without even going to trial. Had it not settled at mediation, it could have been well up over $200,000, $250,000 in cost.
How long did it take to settle the case, the mediation?
You know, it took all day. We started early.
Over a period of time.
Oh, a period of time.
From the time of the accident?
Within a year and a half. We did it relatively quickly. The facts were so terrible that they wanted to get it behind them. The defense did, I thought. And so they came onto the table, which was good.
Yeah. Can an insurance company, because I've seen this with some of their policies, exclude people who are texting? In other words, they're saying if you're texting, we're not going to cover it.
They can, and we might start seeing that. We see it with punitive damages. They exclude punitive coverage.
Yeah.
So you can have somebody that is really driving, you know, 150 miles an hour, comes across the interstate and hits you. The compensatory damages are one thing, punitive are another. The punitives wouldn't be covered. So, you know, the person would most likely go bankrupt and your client would be out. A
lot of people worry before a case is settled or before it goes to trial or resolved some way that the medical costs are just mounting and mounting. How does a family who's been victimized like this, how do they deal with these medical costs?
What we do typically is we talk to the people with the liens with the hospital. Say in this case it was probably around $1 million or more.
Right.
And we ask them to sit on it. Sometimes
and they do.
They do. They'll do it with most of us at, you know, legitimate law firms, law firms. And we'll even do some negotiating with them up front. We'll do some promises to pay, just to hold off, don't sue our family, let us get through this terrible time. And most of the legitimate healthcare professionals will work with you in that, you know, that way.
We have with us a day in the life video that you did on Brandy, showing a little bit of our rehabilitation. So I just want to go to that right now to show exactly how she has progressed over the last, what?
Couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yes.
Let's do that right now. remarkable, the recovery she's made. What is her prognosis?
I would say good.
Yeah?
I visited with the family about 3 months ago. They had finally purchased their new home where they've got things that she needs.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you would think she was just like she used to be. But that's where you have to be guarded. And I know that she and her parents are going at it because, you know, she wants more freedom and they want to stay on top of her, which is a standard issue with brain injury cases because, you know, you just never know. But she has made a miraculous recovery. She'll never be back to where she was, but she's really covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Very sweet, pretty girl.
When anyone's involved with an accident, you know, there are a million attorneys out there. And one of the issues that I want to cover, particularly cases where you need an experienced attorney, you know, to decide whether to go to mediation, to decide whether to take the case to trial, and also have the wherewithal, the financial resources to take on a case like this that can cost $100,000, $200,000. What do you see that a person should ask themselves when they select an attorney?
Check around, ask around. Don't just look at a TV ad.
Yeah.
Don't just go to whoever your neighbor said go to. There are plenty of stuff. You can look us up on Martindale Hubbell. You can find we're rated A, B, C, or not rated. We happen to be an A-rated firm, which is a top-rated firm. You look to see if you're part of Alabama Super Lawyers, which I'm part of Super Lawyers. You see what their reputation is.
And by the way, super lawyers are recommendations from peers.
Right.
As some of the best attorneys, and I think it's what, 1 or 2%?
It's the top 5%.
5%?
Lawyers, yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, that's a nice honor to get.
Yeah.
And then Martindale Hubbell is also a peer rating when you get your A rating. It's, you know, your A, B, or C, or like say some folks aren't even rated. You should look at those sort of things and then go meet with the person and sort of do an interview. So it's sort of like going through interviews a lot of times with the family. They'll put you through a rigmarole to decide whether or not they want you. And they'll start asking you about your experience level, and it's nice to have, you know, a bunch of multi-million-dollar settlements and verdicts to say, look, we've done this, we can do this, we're an A-rated firm, you know. Right. It makes them feel comfortable because you have to get them to quit worrying about the lawsuit and get back to taking care of their hurt individuals. And that's hard to do sometimes. Just let it go. That's what we do. You concentrate on your spouse or your child who's been injured.
Insurance companies typically will go to the injured party and they will say, we'll help you out, we'll rent a car for you, we'll pay X amount of dollars. They try to settle it quickly without a lawyer. Isn't that true?
Sometimes they will do that.
And what should be your first red flag in that case? Get a lawyer.
I think you'd always get a lawyer.
Yeah.
In any kind of case. You know, unless it's just not cost efficient.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at dollars and cents and medical care, you need to have a lawyer. And you need to have a lawyer who does that kind of case. You don't need to go to a real estate lawyer or
right.
You know, a commercial whatever lawyer, paper lawyer. You need to get to the right lawyer.
I would venture to say that the majority of your clients that come to you have never been involved with a legal action before, right?
Correct.
And something dramatic happened in their life. Most people are kind of adverse to getting involved with a lawyer, but now they have to, and it's the best thing for them.
Most of them apologize. Most of them come in, and they've heard all the stuff out there about us, about trial lawyers, and they come in and they hang their head, and they say, Mr. Walton, we are just not the kind of folks that file lawsuits. And I look at them and I say, well, hold your head up. You're in the right place because I'm the kind of folks that do.
Yeah.
And I'll take care of you. And invariably, I hear that over and over, even with the worst cases where, you know, an 18-wheeler plows over a child and the driver hadn't slept in 14 days in his own meth and all that. They still come and want to apologize for coming to see me. It's fascinating.
Even in a state like your state.
Yes, it's fascinating.
Do you find that there still is a great chance at getting justice for the injured party?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Definitely. You know, you have to approach it right. You have to stay up on the newest trial techniques so you don't fall into the gaps of some of the old stuff and walk into traps.
Yeah.
You have to talk about rules. You have to talk about policies. You have to show the defendants chose to violate these policies. When they put a driver that was unqualified behind the wheel, or they put a laptop in their car and they didn't have rules and regulations about what you can put on it, they chose to make their driver dangerous to the public. And they have to, you know, take care of that. They have to be responsible. As long as you approach it from that angle, you know, you can get to a jury and they can see it. Now, if you just go in there and start talking and whining about your client's hurt, that's not going to happen.
I'm just curious, in the new legislation that's pending regarding texting and covering laptop computers, are they outlawing a laptop computer installed in a vehicle other than law enforcement vehicles?
not outlawing. I don't think they're outlawing. You just can't use it while you're operating because someone else could use it. And it's going to be tested, I'm sure. You know, it's new legislation. It's always going to be tested. But there's about 30 states out there that have already done it. So surely to goodness they went and borrowed some of their language and got something that may have already been tested. Yeah. But it's brand new in this state.
Well, you did a great job for Brandy and her family, and I really want to thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.